Hello, my name is Anitarky and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to support it. Subscribe and comment. Today's show is the first season of Don't Play With Me, Miss Nagatoro, about a second-year student who is constantly picked on by a first-year student in the popular destination city of Hayama. High school student Naoto Hachioji goes to Kazuya High School. Naoto is a tall but shy second-year student who loves to draw manga and loves the library because one day he may be alone there. However, he finds a group of popular girls chatting and gossiping in the library and tries to ignore them. But he has trouble blocking out his noise while studying later. One of the girls walks by and notices his self-drawn manga when all the girls see the manga and laugh at him. Except for Hayase Nagatoro, a first-year student. When the girls start to laugh at him, they go. Nagatoro stays behind and introduces himself to Naoto after reading his manga about a brave hero. She mocks him because Naoto based the hero on himself, and she torments him by trying to prove that her own character is much braver than the real Naoto after reading a fight scene in his manga. Nagatoro shows off her combat moves and duplicates the manga, but Naoto has trouble playing the scene when he has to call her beautiful, and Nagatoro proves that she looks nothing like her self-drawn character. Nagatoro calls him creepy as Naoto starts crying even though she leaves her behind. Handkerchief for him that night. Naoto can't sleep because he can only imagine the first year tormenting him over and over again the next day while Nagatoro mocks him. Naoto gives him back his scarf to go to the art club, but Nagatoro follows him to explore art club. Since they are alone, she volunteers to model for him, causing Naoto much embarrassment after Naoto is too shy to draw. Nagatoro correctly deduces that she hasn't drawn anything, so he promises that if he draws her, Naoto will get a secret reward after working up the courage to do so. The drawing ends that night and Nagatoro pretends to give her a kiss as a reward, but she slaps him after mocking him for not completing his drawing. She continues trying to make him cry and then takes care of him with her handkerchief. She promises to give him a better reward next time. She follows him out of school and asks him out. But when an embarrassed Naoto doesn't answer her, Nagatoro mocks him and tells him he was joking, then pushes him away as if he were a Joe. But as he is too light, she ends up pushing him into the canal. A genuinely apologetic Nagatoro wonders why Naoto isn't mad at her, and Naoto remembers that throughout his life he's always been made fun of, so his behavior is normal to him. Nagatoro asks how he and Naruto feel. He admits that although he doesn't like her teasing, he likes talking to her, satisfied with her response. Nagatoro insists on calling Naoto senpai, a term for upperclassmen. One day Naoto is drawing peacefully in the club room when Nagatoro arrives to show off his hula abilities. She asks him to join her, but punishes him when he gets too close. The next day, Nagatoro sneaks into school. An interesting manga about vampires. The bride's legate arrives at the club room and he tries to hide it from her, but she quickly determines that he is acting. Very suspicious after catching him with the vampire manga, she distracts him with those kinds of words and then takes the manga away from him after reading it and mocking him for reading the manga. She once again realizes that Naoto sees himself as the main character of the manga and wishes to be like him. She also says that he would be safe from vampires because he is too skinny after he jokes that she is a vampire. Nagatoro takes a serious tone and begins to mock him by showing his pointy teeth. She teases him by jumping on him, but is repulsed when he accidentally exhales garlic breath. Later that day, walking home, she teases him again because in their fight they get too close, and before leaving, she punches his stomach. The next day, Naoto returns to the club room where Nagatoro announces that they should play new game together. She proposes that they beat each other's chests, but Naruto refuses. As a reward for whoever wins, he will get a ticket, making the other person do what he wants, and after much teasing from her, Naoto accepts. Nagatoro goes first and is part of the club. Archery player has good aim, so he easily nails it in the chest. Naoto tries to say he missed but finally says he got it right when it's his turn. Both Nagatoro and Naoto are too nervous and she claims she's out of time when her phone rings. That night, Naoto goes to a restaurant to eat when he sees Nagatoro and his friend with two boys enter. He spies on them while they talk, but notices that Nagatoro seems very upset. Naoto looks forward to Nagatoro tormenting the boys, but she doesn't though. Don't openly mock them. Nagatoro uses dry humor and a serious tone to scare the boys away. Her friend asks her if she doesn't like boys and Nagatoro ignores her that night walking home. Naruto wonders if Nagatoro is just making fun of him and runs into Nagatoro, who reveals that she knew he was spying on them. She mocks him by calling him creepy for eavesdropping the next day. Naoto confronts Nagatoro again in the art room. She volunteers to model for him so he can improve his artistic skills and show off his school swimsuit to his embarrassment, but he refuses. Later after school, the two get caught in the rain. Nagatoro runs to find shelter, but Naoto stays behind because he is very weak, so he takes them to a shelter in the park to wait for them. Hang out in the rain at the shelter. Nagatoro teases Naoto to look away because she's wearing a white school uniform, but Naoto accuses her of wearing a swimsuit and turns around anyway, much to her embarrassment that she wasn't wearing her school swimsuit, so he apologizes and Nagatoro continues to torment him. Later, after Nagatoro finds out how far is her house, she invites him to wait out the rain at her house. When he goes home, he is deathly afraid that his family will be similar to Nagatoro and will also torment and mock him, but Nagatoro reveals that his family will be out of the house for the day after taking a shower and borrowing his brother's clothes. They drink some tea together as Nagatoro mocks him for being embarrassed to spend time with a girl alone in his house. Nagatoro suggests that they play together and features a fighting game that she's pretty good at, but she's actually a complete beginner as Naoto starts winning easily to stop her from winning. Naoto distracts him and wins by calling him a scrub. They end up playing several hours together with Nagatoro consistently winning. Naruto then leaves and admits that he had fun at her house during lunch the next day. Naoto has nowhere to sit, so Nagatoro motions for him to sit with his friends Maki and Yoshi. Naoto is afraid that she and her friends will make fun of him, but he sits with them anyway. Her friends make fun of Nagatoro and Nagatoro says that Naoto is her boyfriend, although she says that he looks more like her pet. But when Yoshi tries to mess with her hair, Nagatoro coldly stops her, and when Maki calls Nao an insect, Nagator traces a line at their teasing and starts to get angry when he realizes that she is defending him. Naoto stands up to proclaim that he is not her boyfriend, but sheepishly sits back down the next day at the club. Nagatoro tries to teach Naoto how to defend himself when he gets mocked and starts a mock class to teach him. She tells him to slap the others if they make fun of him and practice with her making fun of him and Naoto defending himself. But when Nagatoro makes fun of her messy hair, Naoto starts crying because she is taking it too far. Nagatoro apologizes but then takes the opportunity to mock. He pushes him further and tries to get him to attack, but his aim is poor, embarrassing them both. Naoto is washing his hands in the art room after working with oil paints when Nagatoro arrives to mock him again after she spilled juice on his hands and mocks him. He washes his hands with her and then washes his hands for him, and Naruto quickly runs away in shame as a satisfied Nagatoro watches him run away the next day. Naoto is having a quiet day in the club room without Nagatoro bothering him with his friends. Maki and Yoshi arrive. Naoto remembered how they made fun of him at lunch, so he just didn't feel like interacting with them. Although they were looking for Nagatoro, they decided to stay and watch him eat. After making fun of his lack of experience with girls, they relentlessly teased him, and before he could, runs, forcing him to grab Maki's bean cakes, but soon after Nagatoro arrives and has fun and his friends quickly run away. Disappointed, Nagatoro acts coldly towards Naoto, who tries to defend himself and explain Maki's trick. Nagatoro quickly perks up and challenges him to take a premium bean cake from her. However, he must correctly guess where she is hiding the buns. But when Naoto makes a mistake that embarrasses Nagatoro, she quickly punishes him and they awkwardly have lunch together. Naoto then returns to the art room to draw and remembers Nagatoro in the past demanding he draw her instead of useless fruits. Nagatoro then arrives dragging a couch from another room of the club so she doesn't have to hit herself on an art chair. The Naoto club observes their other teammates and discusses their lack of popularity with Nagatoro. Nagatoro encourages him to praise others to become more popular in school, and she asks him to praise her at first. Naoto's praise is weak, but when he gives her a sincere compliment, she cringes. Nagatoro quickly gets over it and praises the random, nervous facial expressions she can make while being made fun of, then moves on to drawing Nagatoro while she poses, and Naoto has to make her stop making fun of him. Still, Naoto finds it difficult to draw Nagatoro and it takes him several hours to get anything done. Nagatoro mocks her lack of progress, but quickly falls asleep on the comfortable couch, and since she is asleep, Naruto is given enough time to draw her on his easel. Nagatoro wakes up and is impressed with his drawing and then rewards him by making him kiss a small stuffed animal. One day, Nagator arrives at the art club to make fun of Nato as always, but somehow he ignores her taunts no matter how hard he tries. A surprised Nagatoro sees Maki and Yoshi arrive, who asks if Naoto prefers to hang out with them. To Nagatoro's surprise, they leave the art club together and Nagatoro wakes up. In the real world, shocking Nato, an embarrassed Nagatoro, scared of her dream, tentatively tries to compliment Naoto. Then Naoto gets a bad feeling and Negan Toro gets up from the couch to tackle him and tickle him. They sit together on the couch and Nagatoro tells him who she is. It doesn't tickle him and he dares him to try to tickle him and embarrass Naoto. He tries to give it a try, but a flustered Nagatoro quickly rejects it. Nagatoro then finds a video of a sheep getting its wool. He shears and shows Naoto. She notices that his long hair looks like sheep's wool and proposes to him. Who gets a haircut. After playing with his hair, she offers to cut his hair with a pair of electric shavers. A scared Naoto insists that he is not a sheep and tries to run away, admitting that he is afraid of razors. So Nagatoro relents and decides to use a brush and a pair of scissors. She insists that she will make a small cut, but before they can begin, Nagatoro receives a call from her friends to go to her classroom. However, the call was just a trick by her friends to get her to leave the art club. Naoto becomes desperate when he sees Maki and Yoshi arrive at the art club and soon find the electric shaver. Yoshi holds Naoto hostage while Maki threatens to shave him with the razor, so Naoto defends himself by turning around while Nagatoro hears them screaming and finds his friends trying to shave Naoto. Maki and Yoshi decide to make a quick retreat, leaving Nagatoro frustrated. Later, Nagatoro trims Naoto's hair to a more reasonable length, so after he compliments her, she mocks him out of embarrassment. Later, summer comes with unbearable heat upon them, so while walking home, Nagatoro suggests that they go buy shaved ice to help them cool down. But when they get to the store, they find a large crowd and a line to buy the shaved ice. Naoto suggests they go to a convenience store, but Nagatoro insists they wait in line as long as possible. As they stand in line, Naruto gets between Nagatoro and some suspicious guys, but the heat soon takes its toll on Nagatoro and he begins to hallucinate. Naoto decides to force her to leave the line and they head to a park to let her hydrate. She feels better. Nagatoro is disappointed that they couldn't get the shaved ice, so she decides to go buy them ice cream later while they walk home. They talk about their summer vacation plans and Naoto is a little sad that she won't be able to see Nagatoro very good a lot during the summer, but Nagatoro asks for her number so they can text each other during the summer, and Naoto hesitantly agrees after showing him a sticker. Nagatoro runs away and then starts spamming him. One day, Naoto wakes up and sees a hooded girl taking care of him. A confused Naoto finds himself in an otherworldly plane where the hooded girl tells him that he has been chosen to become the savior of this world. She also tells him that due to his lack of experience with girls, he can become a powerful magician, and after giving him a staff, she sends him on his way. Naruto falls from the sky to land in a fantasy world with dragons and monsters. Naoto is immediately attacked by a large lizard and is forced to flee when it ignores his magical attacks. When he is cornered, Nagatoro appears and saves him by hitting the lizard in the water. Katoro is a boxer cat who looks suspiciously like Nagatoro and insists that he follow her. The two fight monsters and travel together when they arrive at the lair of a large dragon. That Katoro tries to fight the dragon with her combat skills but is rejected, and when the dragon tries to destroy her, Naoto defends Nagatoro with her staff. Lyoto and Nico Tora then combine their magic to create copies to distract the dragon and empower Nagatoro to deliver a powerful blow that defeats the dragon. Naoto then watches as the dragon transforms into Maki, who happily greets Nagatoro. While Yoshi emerges from Yoshi's egg, the four travel together to the Demon Lord's castle to face the final boss but find the throne room empty, which Katoro reveals that in fact she and her friends were all Demon Lords and that Naoto has fallen into their trap. Naoto tries to retreat, but the Demon Lords capture him and announce that they will torture him forever. Naoto then wakes up in the real world after a nap in a restaurant. Where Nagatoro and his friends arrive in the real world, Nagatoro finds his Nagatoro sketches and happily begins to tease him for giving him feline features. Later during the summer, Naoto is watching TV when Nagatoro calls him to tease him for wasting his summer vacation. She insists that they go visit the beach together and Naoto joins her to see Nagatoro and his friends on the way to the beach compare her behavior to that of a sea lice charger, and Naoto prepares for a stressful moment, and after getting to the beach, Naoto refuses to swim with the rest of them, drawing in the shadow instead of in the water. The girls compete against each other, but Nagatoro wins easily because he is on the swim team, but he also realizes that Naoto continues to sit and draw while everyone else is having fun. Nagatoro then scoffs. Iman insists that he swim with the rest of them, and Naruto is afraid of entering the water and potentially drowning. Then she gives him sunscreen and pushes him into the water. Surprisingly, Naoto has a good time at the beach, and that night he thanks Nagatoro for inviting him, and the trip inspires him to draw her on the beach. Naoto misses Nagatoro's presence during the summer, and to pass the time he plays video games alone. He wonders if he should contact Nagatoro but decides not to because he feels like he is contacting her would be too embarrassing. After playing video games, he decides to go to a summer festival himself, and at the festival he gets jealous seeing the couples having fun. He suddenly runs into Kami and Yoshi, and although he tries to run away, they quickly catch up to him and they make fun of him. To him for coming alone to the summer festival, he is told that Nagatoro is busy so she is not at the festival, and they refuse to let him go. After capturing Naoto, the girls take a photo of him and send it to Nagatoro, who soon gets angry. Nagatoro arrives at the festival from school to confront her friends. She tries to grab the leash they have put on Naoto, but Maki refuses. Loki challenges Naoto for ownership of the strap, and they go to the festival to win prizes while everyone enjoys the shooting game. Together, Nagatoro teases Naoto by wondering if she was too embarrassed to ask him to accompany her to the festival. But she relaxes and tells him that later that summer they will go somewhere together for the rest of the night. The four of them will play different games together. Of the festival, wins different prizes, and although Maki declares victory by having more prizes, Nagatoro wins in quality by winning a huge stuffed squid. She celebrates her victory and takes off Naoto's collar. Waki and Yoshi then leave the festival, leaving Naruto and Nagatoro alone. They both decide to eat. They eat together and Nagatoro teases him that they are almost acting like they are on a date. She teases him by offering her hand to hold, but then gets distracted by the fireworks. But the two discover that the line of fireworks is too long and Naoto suggests that they take an alternate path through the bushes. Instead, Nagatoro is trapped inside the line until Naoto pulls her out. They head into the forest to a secluded spot to watch the fireworks, and Naruto reveals that when he was a child discovered this secret place, Nagatoro. She makes fun of him for dragging a girl alone to a secluded area. She calls him sleazy, but when he criticizes her for his teasing, she challenges him to make a romantic move. But when the two realize that other couples are at the scene, the embarrassed duo flees. On the way home, Nagatoro muses that he would like to wear a traditional yukata next time, and Naoto tentatively proposes the idea of them properly attending next year's summer festival, which greatly pleases Nagatoro. Soon summer ends and Naoto returns to school one day to find Nagatoro spending time with her friends gossiping in a park. Naoto feels that she is too unpopular at school, so she avoids talking to them, but becomes worried when a group of boys approach the girls, one of them pressuring Nagatoro to go out with him and the surprisingly brave Naoto. He reveals himself to ask Nagatoro to walk with him. Nagatoro easily agrees and his friends leave. Naoto gets some weird praise from Nagatoro and his friends because they all thought the other kids were annoying and he helped them escape. He also formally meets another of Nagatoro's friends, called Sakura, in the club room. Nagatoro mocks Naoto's weak body and declares that he should try training his muscles, and that with their help he can go from being a bean sprout to being a bodybuilder. Naoto refuses unless there are exercises he can do without having to move. When Nagatoro challenges him to do plank exercises while she is sitting on top of him, Nagatoro gets in too deep while encouraging him and attracts the attention of some of his classmates, causing Naoto to fail quickly later after he lunges a new game. Naruto's grades begin. Nagatoro reminds her that the school-wide midterms will begin soon, and she quickly determines that Naoto has been abandoning his studies by firmly proclaiming that he would have to repeat a grade if he doesn't start studying soon. She teases him that he would end up in the same class as her when he moves on to his second year, facing the possibility that he will share classes with Nagatoro and end up being endlessly teased by her. Naruto doesn't think it's a bad idea, but an embarrassed Nagatoro insists that he study and pass later in the library. Naoto tries to catch up on his studies while the denying girl and her friends look at him and make fun of him. They raise the possibility that Naoto could fail 2 grades in a row, and then they would all be bigger for him. Naoto dreams of a situation where all the girls are older than him and he has to obey their orders, and quickly determines that he needs to study. But Sakura admits that all the girls except Nagatoro are also failing, so they will have to study. Worrying about studying more than him after finishing midterms, Nagatoro is surprised that Naoto got a good score. Nagatoro then goes to the club room when he hears some suspicious noises coming from inside. Imagining a terrible situation, he opens the door and finds his friends trying to help. Naoto removes a splinter. She rushes to do the deed herself. But when she and Naoto walk home that day, she scolds him for acting too friendly. Nagatoro demands that Naoto help her by bringing her bag. But when he refuses, they play rock, paper, scissors. They carry each other. Nagatoro loses and gets angry carrying her back. They play again and Naoto loses intentionally to cheer up Nagatoro and ends up carrying her back this time. Finally, in his last challenge, Naoto loses. A denier insists that he take her and his bag home after teasing him for having a girl. Nagatoro suddenly becomes embarrassed and runs away that night. Naoto worries, which feels better when Nagatoro starts spamming him with mocking messages, then calls him from the bathroom, which scares him and prevents him from accidentally studying Nagatoro. He makes matters worse when he accidentally turns on his phone's camera, and the two embarrassingly apologize the next day in the club room. Naoto is distracted by Nagatoro, who has become obsessed with shadow boxing while Nagatoro practices his moves and challenges Naoto to convert. His sparring partner asks him to stay still while he pretends to box against him. Naoto starts to retreat when he accidentally starts hitting him. Naoto then slips, and they accidentally hug, embarrassing them both. The guitar then shares the encounter with his friends who also want to try to train against Naoto, but Nagatoro refuses to leave them and gives them nonsensical reasons. He fails to persuade them as all the girls head to the club to fight Naoto while Nagatoro tries to defend him the next day. Naoto hopes for peace and art. club. But when he arrives, he discovers that all the girls are playing and reveal that they usually hang out in the dining room. But a group of nerds who are too loud left to hang out in the art room, and he wonders why they did so. He didn't get revenge on the group of boys for being too loud, and the revealed girls sent Sakura to disrupt the group. They planned to create jealousy among the boys, and Sakura finally led the group of friends to their destruction since they are all in the club. Now the girls start teasing him, but Nagatoro starts defending him when Maki starts taking the teasing too far. Nagatoro then challenges the girls to find the comics that Naoto hides in the art room, although Naoto secretly insists that the room is completely clean. Naoto has been keeping some of his comics in the room and nervously hopes that Nagatoro doesn't find them hidden in the next room. Nagatoro becomes frustrated as he is sure that Naoto is hiding something. Her friends start making fun of her, so Naruto pretends to accidentally reveal a comic so that Nagatoro can make fun of him satisfied. The other girls leave the clubroom the next day. Nagatoro arrives at the clubroom to show off her nearby earrings. After revealing her piercing tool ears, she teases him to put on earrings himself. Naoto tells him that wearing earrings would be too embarrassing for him. But Nagatoro doesn't think the earrings would be strange for him. He suggests they get matching earrings, which embarrasses him. To Naoto, Ryoto then cries about his ear piercing, but finds out that Nagatoro was joking, and in the meantime, she just pinched him. Sakura arrives asking for help. They all go to the restaurant together to comfort Sakura, and she reveals that one of the nerds is harassing her because of her plan. Sakura suggests that Naoto pretend to be her boyfriend, which will help get rid of the stalker, surprising both of you. Nagatoro and Naoto. Nagatoro announces that if they go ahead with this plan, Sakura will have twice as many stalkers, but he feels pressured. Naoto agrees, then meets Sakura after school for a pretend date, as he has never been on a date before. Sakura tells him she will, takes the lead, and Naoto becomes nervous about the chances of the other girls following behind, including an extremely frustrated Nagatoro. Maki and Yoshiji tease Nagatoro because this could lead to a real relationship between Naoto and Sakura, angering Nagatoro because Sakura makes fun of him. Naoto telling him that he would really like to be on a date with someone else. Finally, after walking to the coast, Nagatoro takes matters into his own hands and captures the stalker, which quickly ends the dates. His friends leave disappointed. But when Nagatoro walks home with Naotoshi, the imaginary date, Ryoto and Nagatoro are walking home one day when Nagatoro starts teasing him by telling him that he will send him hot photos at first. He thinks he'll send her spicy text messages, but she scoffs at his mistaken assumption and reveals that she was talking about spicy chicken later. Nagatoro from school and his friends watch Naoto struggle in gym class while all his classmates pass him by. Nagatoro becomes disappointed after school. Nagatoro approaches Naoto and mocks him for running slow. She wonders why he is so slow, and Naruto tells her his strength is in drawing and not in physical activity. She demands that he practice running. But when Naruto tries to find excuses, Nagatoro declares that he will put him on a fierce training regimen the next day. True to his words, she shows up at the park the next day in her embarrassing gym clothes. Nagatoro makes fun of Naoto for his reaction, and she takes him jogging to train his stamina. The unfit Naoto can barely keep up with Nagatoro but gains motivation from watching her run, then tries to run ahead of her so as not to be too embarrassed, but quickly falls behind when they take a much-needed break. Naruto declares that he wants to give up, and Nagatoro calls him a weakling, mocking his lack of willpower. Nagatoro tries to taunt Naoto into running again, which works when Naoto starts running. Nagatoro runs angrily and then taunts Naoto to keep running until she then passes out in the park. Nagatoro then decides that they need to stretch to cool down, and she guides him through a stretching routine. However, Naoto is very inflexible, so he needs Nagatoro to help him. Do basic stretches. Nagatoro has fun stretching Naoto in the park, but suddenly Yoshi arrives with his dog, embarrassing them both. The next day in the art room, Naoto is thinking about his next portrait. Zagatura arrives asking if he needs him to model again and quickly leaves. Volunteer Naoto explains that he needs a portrait for the upcoming school festival, and Nagatoro is surprised when Naoto rejects his offer to model for him. Naoto tells him that he needs a boy to model with, and Nagatoro teases him with the drawings he made earlier. After some teasing, Naoto accepts on the condition that Nagatoro dresses as the character from the game Nagatoro. Ryoto is sure that Nagatoro will reject the cosplay, but the tables turn against Naoto when the next day Nagatoro appears in the cosplay. Nagatoro is very embarrassed and takes out her shame on Naoto by insulting him. Naoto tries to compliment her, but Nagatoro punishes him. Afterwards, Nagatoro's friends arrive at the club room to watch Nagatoro model. They all talk about the various activities their classes will be doing during the festival, including a yakisoba stall, a haunted house, and a gaming club formed by Sakura. Naoto. He remembers that last year the art club organized a successful art exhibition, and that the club president gave the club to Naoto so that the other members could focus on studying for art school. Naoto decides to organize another art exhibition for the festival, but the girls are not amused by his boring choice. They decide to help him make the activity more interesting and suggest organizing a cat cafe or a butler cafe. Meanwhile, Naoto gets worried when he hears when the president of the art club returns to the club room. He insists that Nagatoro and his friends hide there. In the next room, when the art club president Sana arrives, Nagatoro and his friends listen to Naoto and Sana nervously and wonder what his relationship with Sana is. Sana demands to know what the art club will do for the festival and what it has done. He heard rumors of unsavory characters at the art club, sees the snacks at the art club, and announces that the club is not a place for fun. Sana declares that if Naoto doesn't take his responsibilities at the art club seriously, she will ask the student council. The president will close the art club permanently before Sonic can leave. Nagatoro and his friends reveal themselves. Nagatoro confronts Sana and declares that Naoto takes his art seriously, remembering the focus he always had on his skills when they were having fun. Sana declares that if Naoto can hold on, a more successful Arctic display than it can will allow the club to survive. A worried Naoto is comforted by Nagatoro, who promises to help the next day. Although he promised to help Nagatoro, and his friends can't help but mock Sana for how serious he is. She is accepting the challenge. Nagatoro then becomes unhappy when Naruto defends the Sana in front of them. Nagatoro tries to cheer himself up by saying that they will win easily, but Naoto is convinced that they will lose to Sana, although Nagatoro is hopeful about their cat cafe plan. Naoto explains that Sana is a perfectionist who always wins any competition she participates in. Her exhibition last year was popular because she modeled for herself. Nagatoro begins to punish Naoto for showing off his Sana art and becomes suspicious of his appreciation for the president of his club, Nagatoro, and his friends, to encourage Naoto to draw a better portrait than Sana's, but they are skeptical that Nagatoro would be a good model. Naruto defends Nagatoro's ability as a model. This encourages Nagatoro, who is excited to take on the challenge. She suggests they wear cosplay to differentiate themselves, but Naruto, he still sees the club president as an impossible opponent when they return home. Nagatoro tries to tease Naoto to cheer him up, but he is still worried about the upcoming competition. Nagatoro promises to do everything he can to help, and the next day he tries on different outfits, modeling. But Naruto tells Nagatoro and his friends that it might be better for Nagatoro to model like his natural self. He also apologizes for involving Nagatoro in the club's problems, as it could result in some embarrassment for Nagatoro. An angry Nagatoro then leaves the club room the next day. The day Naoto arrives and sees that the Sana has separated the club room so that she and Naoto can work separately. He later inspects his work critically and finds it boring and unsuitable for the festival audience. She calls Naoto fruit. Peace without passion when Nagatoro arrives before running away. Seeing her and Sana demands that Naoto pursue Nagatoro and muster up her courage to pursue him for the first year. Nagatoro continues to run away, and Naoto thinks about all the memorable moments he had with Nagatoro this year. She continues to flee further, and Nao becomes exhausted. Toy uses her happy memories with Nagatoro to move forward after catching up with her. Naoto begs Nagatoro to model for him. Nagatoro refuses at first, but when she almost falls into the school pool, Naoto is able to catch her and they both end up falling into the water pool after he asks her once more, encouraging Nagatoro to prepare for the festival. Naoto comes up with several versions of Nagatoro's portraits, all portraying the Nagatoro in daily life. Although she is happy with the paintings, his friends wonder if they will be enough to win the competition, and although Naoto is also worried, Nagatoro assures him that they will win. When Nagatoro and his friends spy on the Sana's work, Nagatoro is surprised by how strong the president's portrait is. Naoto suggests a group portrait between him and Nagatoro for his excitement and his friends. They announce a clandestine plan against the president of the club. The day of the festival arrives and the art club puts together the exhibition. Sana also tells him that she will not let him back out of the challenge, and also shows Naoto a charm that has become popular throughout of all the world. The school and Naoto wonder what Nagatoro and his friends are planning. Other students come to ask about their art exhibits, and Naoto struggles to communicate effectively. Suddenly, 3 Tora cats, Yoshi, Sakura, and Nagatoro in costume, arrive to doing a dance. Nagatoro is clearly unhappy with his outfits and his dancing. They attract the attention of the school and take this opportunity to show off Naoto's art exhibition. However, even with Nagatoro and his friends directing traffic to the art club using Nagatoro's talent to make fun of others, the president still gets more traffic. Naoto gets irritated when he sees Nagatoro interact with other kids, and Nagatoro also gets irritated when some girls approach Naoto. Maki tells Nagatoro to take a break if they find out that Sakura had recruited a nerd to take her place so they can have an early lunch, while Nagatoro and Naoto walk together, and Nagatoro feels conflicted. With all the praise Naoto gives him for helping him model and make the art exhibition a success after having lunch together happily, they hear a commotion at the president's art exhibition and discover that the student orientation committee is closing the exhibition of the president because his art is too suggestive when they listen to the process. Naoto and his friends intervene to defend the president. Yoshi also shows video footage of visitors appreciating the president's artwork. Sana then thanks them and, although irritated at being disqualified by her competition, agrees to keep the art. Club is alive when he tries to leave Nagatoro, and his friends demand that Sona be punished for bothering them and use her to help sell cat toy products during the festival. At the end of the festival, Maki announces that they have won tons of money, but Nagatoro returns to the art club instead of finding Sana and Naoto. After analyzing their art, Sonic compliments Naoto's skill, but appreciates the love that seems evident at work, embarrassing Nagatoro. And Naoto's friends arrive and decide to go to the festivities together. Closing the next day, Nagatoro is asleep again when Naoto draws her, and after he shows her his newest work, she asks him to close his eyes and gives him a sincere kiss on the cheek before running away.